In today's video, we're going to discuss why you can't heal your gut and get your health back on track. Roll the titles.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you.
Hey everyone, it's good to see you again. If we haven't met before, then hi, I'm Goji Man. I'm a qualified nutritionist and soon to be PhD student. I do vegan health and nutrition videos as often as I can, in which I answer your health questions under the hashtag AskGojiMan. So if you have a question for me, then hashtag AskGojiMan in the comments below, or alternatively send your video questions through to contact@gojimannutrition.com. As always, just a quick reminder that I am now offering the SIBO, organic acid, stool tests and consults via my website. So if you have any health or digestive problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of very detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video. So I speak to a lot of people with gut issues, and by far one of the main reasons that people struggle to get their digestive health and overall health back on track is when gut inflammation is at the root cause of their problems. So no matter what your health problem is, whether it's low mood, low energy levels, hormonal imbalances or joint problems, then it is likely that gut inflammation is going to have a pivotal role in driving that condition. Now, typical gut inflammation symptoms include gas and bloating, cramping or abdominal irregularities. But not everyone with health issues will also experience these gut inflammation symptoms. I do speak to a fair amount of people whose gut problems manifest into skin issues, joint problems, brain fog or mood problems, but they don't necessarily experience those typical gut symptoms. And because of this, it is often very difficult for these people to narrow down exactly where the root cause of their problems are coming from. Now, there are often a few main typical causes of gut inflammation, and food is obviously a biggie. So if you are eating foods that trigger allergenic reactions in the body, then this can obviously drive inflammation. So if you have problems with histamines or salicylates, for example, and you continually load up the gut with foods high in these compounds, then the gut is likely to be continually inflamed. Equally, you could have gluten sensitivity, where for whatever reason your body just does not like the gluten proteins. It could be leaky gut, where those gliadin proteins are getting into your bloodstream and causing issues, or it could be a genetic component in that your body is just not equipped with the relevant tools to metabolize gluten. These types of sensitivities to histamine, salicylates or gluten will obviously not induce anaphylaxis type response through IgE mechanisms where you need to carry an EpiPen, but these types of sensitivities can provoke an immune response outside of those IgE anaphylaxis mechanisms, such as IgA, IgG and even T-cell mediated responses. And if you are chronically caught up in those IgA, IgG immune responses, then your gut will respond in the form of inflammation. This will occur as your gut immune system produces cytokines or interleukins, for example, as your immune system perceives some of these food compounds as invaders. So we all know that a large proportion of your immune system is located in your gut. So if you load the gut up with foods that the gut and the gut immune system perceive as invaders, then your gastrointestinal associated lymph system located in the colon and the mucosal associated lymph system located in the small intestines will simply go into overdrive. So when the gut is triggered and your immune cells are triggered, the gut can then start producing a protein called calprotectin, which is a strong inflammatory marker alongside lactoferrin and also lysozymes. And when these markers are elevated to the extreme, the person will likely be suffering with inflammatory bowel conditions such as IBD, Crohn's or colitis. So obviously food is a big one for driving inflammation, and if you are reacting to compounds within foods, then this will cause those inflammatory markers to increase, as well as things like cortisol, as inflammation also tends to increase cortisol levels in your body. So what does all this inflammation actually do to your gut? Well, most of you would have heard the terms intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So in your small intestines, you have what's called your intestinal villi, which are like finger-like projections that grab the nutrients from the food and help you digest them. So when you have inflammation in the guts, the intestinal villi can become somewhat ineffective, and the junctions between the villi can also be pulled apart, allowing undigested foods and proteins into the bloodstream, and this is essentially leaky gut. Now, in people with celiac disease, they have an autoimmune response to gluten, and they have an extreme blunting of the intestinal villi, and that's the extreme end of some of these types of inflammatory problems. For people with food sensitivities, they don't get this severe immune response and blunting of their intestinal villi, but they do have issues with leaky gut, and also their villi become inflamed and they struggle to assimilate nutrition correctly. Also, another thing that inflammation can do in the gut is that it can speed up what's called your gut motility, which is essentially just the speed at which your food and feces travel through your intestines. And if your intestinal villi are already struggling to suck up nutrients correctly, then this speeding up of your gut motility will just worsen things. Conversely, in those with inflammation, it can also slow down their gut motility, and this is equally as problematic as this causes reabsorption of toxins and unwanted proteins, etc., which can further exacerbate that inflammation cycle. So from eating food to passing your stool, you are typically looking at 16 to 24 hours. And if the gut is experiencing inflammation and this gut motility becomes 48 to 72 hours, then you can see how the reabsorption of toxins can cause all manner of issues in your gut. Now, a really good way of testing your gut motility is to consume either beet or activated charcoal. These will turn your stool either black or red, so you will know your transit time, which is particularly important if you're having digestive problems. Another big driver of inflammation in the gut is obviously infections. So SIBO, parasites, candida, H. pylori, C. diff, or just standard dysbiosis will all cause inflammation in your gut. So you have to eradicate these infections from the gut to help you drive down the inflammation. Beyond food problems and gut infections, low stomach acidity, digestive enzymes, and also bowel problems can also drive up inflammation. So if you don't have these at the correct levels, you won't properly digest your food, your immune response can become triggered, and again you are caught up in this inflammatory response cycle. So in summary, inflammation in the gut will cause impacts to your gut motility, it can prevent you from assimilating nutrients correctly, and more significantly, it can activate your immune system, all of which we've already discussed, and these will drive inflammation. So how do you then fix the issues with gut inflammation? Well, you obviously have to get the food right. So if you have histamine intolerance, for example, you have to remove the high histamine foods out of your diet, fix what is causing the high histamine response, and then reintroduce those foods. Alternatively, if you have gluten sensitivity problems, you may need to remove gluten out of your diet permanently to help drive down the inflammation. You also need to remove any infections from the gut, and this is a big one. You have to understand what the problems are so you can take the necessary actions, and you won't ever heal the gut all the time you have SIBO or other gut infections. Also, in terms of reducing inflammation, you also need to make sure that your stomach acid, digestive enzymes, and bile production are all on point. Without all of this, you won't be digesting your foods correctly, and the gut inflammation will simply increase. You also need to rebalance your gut flora, so putting lots of beneficial bacteria into the gut, such as sauerkraut, as well as repairing any damage done to the gut lining, and this could be done using things like glutamine. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, remember to look after your body because it's the only place you have to live, and I'll see you next time.